listening to Sarah Talk. It's political.
If you want a country where you have to salute the flag, North Korea sounds like a lovely fucking place. I don't want to be in a place where honoring the flag is compulsory.
Critical.
Hang on, let me... I'm going to change some words here. All right, ready? Adults with religious confusion who truly believe in a higher power that created us and actually cares what we do with our penises and vaginas should be treated with care, compassion, and kindness, but must not be officially affirmed in their confusion, no matter how sincerely held. Fuck you.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
I don't know if you've ever seen a lightning bug, but he flies around with a flame of light coming out of his behind. The lightning bug got a flame coming out of his butt.
It's a beautiful night tonight. All the sodomites are out.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Did the fireworks just shoot off outside?
I have no idea what that was.
Oh my God.
Hot Mess Monday or Saturday. I don't even know what day it is.
Look, I'm still not used to this Saturday thing. I really am not.
Well, this is only the second one, so
I know. Hey, kill some time while I share the post.
Oh my
I'm so
God.
not ready for this. I just then my app crashed. I was trying to share it and my Facebook app crashed.
You know what? You'll be okay.
And it just did it again. No, I won't.
Here, you want to do it
It's
on my
garbage.
What do I have to? I don't know. It's been so long since I've done any of this.
Let me
stuff.
close all the other shit that I've
I mean,
done.
we had what, 2 weeks off? Then we.
Yeah, I know.
We're still trying to get in the.
And back in the swing of things. Well, we got Dan back.
Here, you want some
Hey,
rum?
Dan.
Have some rum.
Yes, please.
I'll open it up for.
Stop it. Excited to have Dan
One
back
of
in
these
the
Saturday
live
nights,
show.
we're gonna have an open bar night. Yes, I'm excited that Dan is back. I'm very, very excited. Yeah, Dan, we got a new. That was a Christmas present, actually. It's actually
the
it's
show
a light.
sign? Yeah.
It's a lit like a marquee sign. It lights up, but when you light it
But
up,
it doesn't.
it looks really bad on.
Yeah.
On the,
It's just like a block of
camera.
light
Yeah.
on the camera.
So it's cool.
Well, I shared it to my own timeline, so it'll let me do that, but it won't let me share it to the group.
Oh, the podcast group,
Yeah.
listening group. Okay, I'll try while you're
All
figuring
right,
out.
so
how to
hey, let's
start
talk
the show.
about let's talk about some Donald Trump nonsense, huh?
Okay.
Are you tired of winning yet? Are you tired of winning yet?
Africa and Haiti are shithole countries.
Say what?
In other news, yeah, can you believe this guy?
I.
But we'd rather have people from Norway. White people.
What's really sad about this whole situation is that I can't say I'm surprised.
No, not at all. No, this is the guy who grabbed him by the pussy during the campaign.
I just.
So here's the thing, right? All of my lefty friends are posting, their comments about it, which line up with ours, for the most part. But then, we all have those friends.
Which friends are you referring to?
We all have the Facebook troll Bill. We all have one of those. You know what I mean?
Oh, Bill.
We all have one. And so, then these friends that are popping in there going, well, have you been to Haiti? It's a shithole country. Have you been to some of these African nations? It's shit, like literally shitting in the streets shithole.
Yeah. Well, fine. But it's not up to the President of the United States of America
Exactly.
to make that kind of statement.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like I always said, look, as someone who regularly calls most of the South shithole states on the show every week.
Right?
Okay.
But
I'm not the fucking president of the United States.
And you're also not saying it in a, like...
It's not... It would be different if I were, like, living in elite Chicago or New York or something and saying, I don't want those poor people from the South coming up to my... What? You can't immigrate from Alabama. Oh, no, we don't want those shithole people in the North. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Actually, we did do that once upon a time. That's a thing we did.
A long time ago.
Oh,
It wasn't
my
actually that long
God.
ago, but
Yeah, right.
well,
So there you go.
yikes. It's really, I don't know. I've said this before. I keep thinking, what is it gonna do?
Right.
Like, this has to be the stupidest thing he's ever gonna say. Like, this takes the cake, and yet every week something comes out that's even more preposterous than the last thing. So I'm just like, seriously, guys, can we just get this clown out of here?
Right.
I don't get it.
Right. I was trying to find the post. A lot of my friends have been reposting. That was like, did you think he was a racist when he implemented the Muslim travel ban? And it just lists off all of these racist, awful things that he's said and done. And then
I didn't see this. Dan says that Ann Coulter said that Trump was wrong. They're shithole nations, according to her.
Well, gee, thanks, Ann Coulter.
Like, she's a lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
I didn't make a New Year's resolution to clean up my language, but I don't know. I'm a little more self-conscious about it with the kids in the other room.
Yeah. Well, one's asleep and the other one's locked into the TV now.
All right. Well, she's a cunt.
There you go. All right. The other big story that splashed through the news this past week. President Oprah Winfrey for 2020. Now, I got into a shit ton of trouble with a couple of my black friends.
Really?
Yes. Because I came out of this thinking, oh, that was an amazing speech, right? And she was and we're talking about the speech at the Golden Globes. And she called attention to the Me Too movement and all of this awful sexual aggression that's happening by men. And if you leave it like that, it's a very beautiful and powerful thing.
Right.
But then everybody was like, that was very presidential sounding. I wonder if she's going to run for president. And then fucking CNN Money dropped a headline that said, sources close to Oprah Winfrey say she's seriously considering a presidential run. Okay. And I have to be careful here for a number of reasons, right?
I love this topic.
I don't think we need to be electing more Dan.
Yeah, Dan. Me too.
Dan says hashtag Oprah 2020. I'd hit that. Now, I don't think the celebrity should not be the entry point into into presidential politics, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know when Trump was in the race, I felt that way then. This is reality TV star. What the fuck are we gonna do with that guy? Right. What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, we found out.
Right.
So I don't think that celebrity equals president necessarily. Now, that said, if it comes down to another 4 years of Trump or President Oprah, duh. Right? I think the choice is obvious.
Obviously.
Right? You could run a fucking pet rock against Donald Trump, and I would vote for the pet rock.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. Right?
There aren't many, I'm sure there's plenty of worse options, but there's not many that would actually be viable options that would make me go, oh, well, we got it better with Trump. No.
Right. So I've already been called out for being anti-feminist and anti-black.
Wow. I've missed it. Was this on social media or private messenger? Because I totally missed it.
Right.
Oh, brother. Well.
But again, this is the same way, okay, it's not exactly the same, but take my stance on Bernie Hillary. Right? I wanted Bernie Sanders.
Sure.
But when it came down to it, when the choice was Hillary v. Trump, the choice was Hillary, obviously.
Right.
She wasn't my first pick. Now, You run Elizabeth fucking Warren?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that I might get behind.
Right.
Give me somebody who has experience in politics, who has a clear, proven voting record that I can look and say, okay, you support all of the things I support. And you know what Elizabeth Warren hasn't done? Given a platform for Dr. fucking Oz and Dr. Phil, two of the biggest quacks on television.
Mm-hmm.
And Oprah launched them into their careers. And they're pseudoscience, nonsense, garbage quacks. Now, she can come out and say, I wish I'd never done that. Okay, then we're in a good place.
Right.
She hasn't done that yet.
Well, it's not likely that she will.
No.
Because, like, what is it gonna? It's not gonna gain her that much.
No.
To say, oh yeah, even if she feels that way, it's about celebrity status, saving face, and reputation. Now, you enter the game of politics, and now you're playing with politicians.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different game, and I think that's where where Donald Trump he has no idea the game he's playing now.
Right.
He's still waving his celebrity around, thinking that will just get him whatever he wants, and it's really not working the way I think he wants it to.
Right.
But if it was between Oprah and Trump, absolutely, duh. I don't think, but yeah, I would like somebody in that position that has more experience in
governing,
political, like
even give me a governor,
right?
Like give me a governor,
right? Because it's not just about. I mean, Oprah has
Yes, Dan, Kamala Harris, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm with you on that one. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, she has a great track record for showing human compassion and being knowledgeable about things.
And one of the things I like about her is she, her wealth, right?
Right.
Her empire.
Mm-hmm.
She started from dirt.
Right.
She started shit house poor.
Right. She didn't get $1 million loan from her daddy.
Exactly. And I like that. I like that she's
right.
Yeah.
I just hope that we have I hope that somewhere out there there's a better option.
Yeah.
I
think there's a few. I think there's a few, and I think you'll see them, once we clear through the 2018, don't lose focus,
right,
guys. We have to, take back some seats,
right.
But once that dust settles, I think you're going to see a couple people rise out.
And maybe that was, people kept saying it sounded like a presidential speech, but I don't know that I didn't get that feel from it. And
it was a very passionate, empowering.
Right. I just didn't. And if that's what she's looking at, she needs to. I don't think she should try to go for the White House. I think she needs to start smaller.
Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of people are saying. Yeah, get some experience in government.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the news here. This first story. Let me switch over to the phone. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to watch the comments now.
All right. Well, I will make sure that I'm doing that then.
We do have the phone forwarded at. Hang on. Now that I have it plugged in, we do. The hell's our number?
224.
224-40 Sarah. 224-407-2724. So the first story here, if you want to call in about any of these topics that we discussed today. The first story was sent in by part-time patron Russell.
Oh.
And if you want to get moved to the front of the line, you can become a patron too. And,
my gosh.
We're more likely to take your questions and send us news stories. And you move to the front of the line.
Wait a minute now.
Okay, the best stories start with
a Florida man.
Jadu. Born a white male named Adam, now considers himself a Filipino. Yeah, stay with me. Now, okay, this is one of those things that came along with transgender visibility, right? You have all these people that are like slippery slope addicts going, well, what's next? Trans species?
Oh, Jesus.
Can I say I'm a dog?
No, that's called a furry.
Can I say I'm a 7-year-old girl? Can I say I'm black?
Oh, God.
All right.
Well, there was somebody
yes. So from the USA Today, Jadu says, quote, whenever I'm around the music around the food, I feel like I'm in my own skin. I'd watch the History Channel, sometimes for hours. Nothing else intrigued me more but things about Filipino culture.
Okay.
Right, so you're interested in the culture. That
Right.
doesn't make you necessarily like... And let's remember, I'm a person who believes in one race, the human race.
Right.
And all of this other nonsense is cultural.
Mm-hmm.
It's lines we draw on a map and traditions that we carry on that make us different from Canada, right? That Americans are different from Canadians in some way.
Mm-hmm.
That black people are different from white people are different from what?
We all came from
Biologically.
like the same crap in the dirt.
Right. Right. Biologically, we are one race. So I think all of this is silly anyway.
Russell's here.
All right. So we're talking about the trans-racial Filipino man, white Filipino man.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
Here's another thing, right? The difference between this and transgender is that there's a biological basis for the difference,
Right.
right? So there's some genetic things. You can scan the brains of transgender people, and researchers say they appear more like the brains of the gender they identify with
Right.
than necessarily the gender they were born with.
But if you took a
Right.
white man's brain and a white Filipino, or in a Filipino man's brain, oh God,
You can't
you
necessarily,
can't necessarily see what race they are.
Right. So there's...
This is so weird.
I know.
Okay, so wait a minute. So he was born here in Florida and raised in Florida. Has he ever been to the Philippines?
I don't know.
Does he have Filipino neighbors, or is
listen,
this purely
I have no idea where it
something
came
that
from.
came from
No idea.
watching National Geographic on TV?
No idea.
Because I wonder about people sometimes when these stories come up. Because there's like people that say they identify more as animals. Like
Right.
there's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of
Mhm.
different, and it just makes, and like people who think their souls are older than
Sure.
they were born in the wrong generation or whatever.
Right, but there was like a 70-year-old guy that identified as a 6-year-old girl.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
It's just weird to me, and I wonder if that's not like a brain problem, necessarily a mental thing, or stay with me.
Okay, because there's danger in that.
Or if it's okay, and I don't believe in all this weird afterlife crap.
Right.
But like, I've always wondered, like, okay, well, what if reincarnation is a thing, and this guy feels like he's Filipino because he was a Filipino in a past life?
Right.
I don't know.
But there's danger in
Assigning it a mental health
assigning
issue.
it a mental health issue.
Right.
Right. For a lot of reasons.
Oh, sure.
Right. One that insinuates that can be a thing that's cured. Like you can,
I mean, like you have bipolar disorder that makes your personality split.
Mm-hmm.
You have schizophrenia, which,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's all kinds of different,
Right.
I don't know. I don't think, it just makes me wonder, like the long-term studies that we do have of those mental illnesses in those case studies, were things like this
Right.
ever mentioned
Right.
or addressed or...
Now, the article that I was reading was, I can't remember if it was Tampa Bay Times or Miami Herald, but they said, they interviewed a psychologist who said, yep, it's kind of strange, and I haven't really dealt with this in my practice very much. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, if it's not hurting anybody else, and it's not hurting this guy, why do we care?
Right.
So, yeah.
True.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like
I'm
live and
cool
let
with
live,
that.
as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of weird.
Now, you may also remember the one you're thinking of is Rachel Dolezal,
Yeah. Oh,
who was
gosh.
born white, identified black, and became president of the Spokane, Washington chapter of the NAACP.
Which is bogus.
Right.
But, hey.
Right. Yeah. So
I don't know.
So that's that.
I can't help, and I feel like bad for even saying this, but I can't help but think with these people, is this just a way to get attention? Are you seeking your 5 minutes of fame?
And this is why I tread lightly, because this is all the stuff that I get.
Yeah.
Like as a transgender person.
Well, yeah, but
it's a mental illness.
Yeah.
You can be cured.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get attention. I've heard all of those arguments.
I understand that, but you have science behind you. You know, where there's not a science behind any of this other
that we are aware of anyway.
It's stuff that you know, like yet, I guess, is the
right.
In 10 years there might be, I don't know.
So let's get into some LGBTQ news. And we'll start low here and climb our way back up. So content advisory murder.
Thank you, Dan. It was a Christmas present.
What? Oh, your mug.
My mug.
Yeah. We had a very Five Below Christmas this year. All right, content advisory for murder. Skip forward if you're listening to this post live show. 42-year-old Christa Leigh Knudslien. I'm terrible at names.
I have to see this name. Give that to me. I'm gonna have to start asking for copy. That's Knudslien.
Okay, fine.
The K is silent.
Well, sure. But I said Knudslien.
How did you not know the K is silent?
I don't know. Listen to me. Anyway, Christa is, according to GLAAD, the first known transgender person to be killed this year. She was found in her Massachusetts home last week, having been stabbed and beaten to death. Her husband, Mark, was charged with her murder and pled not guilty on Monday, even though police said in a statement filed in court that the 47-year-old had admitted to the killing in an interview. He told investigators they got into an argument and he snapped, that she was always belittling him. He turned himself in at the police department, telling the officers he had done, quote, something very bad. He said he struck her numerous times with a hammer and then stabbed her in the back with a large knife before wrapping her body in a tarp. So, how will history remember this woman? Well, she was very involved in her community, an outspoken activist, helped launch the first New England Trans Pride event a decade ago, and with some other advocates, she later started the Miss Trans New England pageant.
Like, I saw this story and I just couldn't, like, my heart just broke. I mean, like, some of these women that get killed and assaulted by people that they don't know, or that they just met, or, you know, some random guy they went on a date with. But this was her husband.
Yep.
Like,
of all people.
And who, like, and okay, so he snapped and so maybe he didn't kill her because she was trans necessarily. Like, as the details come out, we'll find out more as the investigation goes on. But it's still a name on that list, and it's still, like, heartbreaking. And there's, like, no way to really... She thought she was safe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, ugh.
Well, one of us is going to have to read that fucking name come November.
Yeah.
And so... as many of these as we can call out and talk about.
Yeah.
So that you know their stories.
Yeah. What?
You're like nodding at me like I'm supposed to do something.
No, I wasn't nodding. I'm just
You're gesturing.
My heart hurts. I hated that. And then you reminded me that was a thing.
Yeah.
Because when I read it, I was just,
So speaking of people who are killed by people they've just met or don't really know very well, Peter Avsanu, 32, was convicted of murder in the 2010 deaths of a gay couple, Kevin Mark Powell and Stephen Adams, near Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Wilton Manors. Are you familiar with Wilton Manors?
I'm very familiar with Wilton Manors. I think my uncle lives there, actually.
Really? Well, apparently that's like a super highly gay
it is.
community.
It is very, very tight-knit. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Prosecutors say he used Craigslist to get invited to the victim's home and then killed them and took off with their money, car, and other belongings. He was convicted back in November, in which the jury took 3 days to reach conviction.
3 days?
Attorneys argued that he went to the couple's house and found them already dead and didn't call 911 because he was working for the couple as an escort. But prosecutors said there was no evidence he worked as an escort at all.
Yeah, there should have been some kind of...
Right?
Paper trail.
You charge that on your square? Is that how that works? Do you?
I guess so. I don't know. I've never been an escort for anybody.
It was his mother who turned him in.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. A few months after the couple's death, Avsanu shows up at his mother's door saying that he had, quote, done something worse than ever before. While staying with his mother, he threatened her.
Holy
his
shit.
mother told the court, chased her with a samurai sword,
Oh, shit.
and that he had a shotgun with her name on a bullet. But it wasn't until she checked her computer's browsing history and saw that he had been searching for information about the investigation into the killings of Kevin and Stephen that she decided to turn him in. Wow. During the sentencing hearing, he opted to defend himself instead of letting his lawyer present any arguments, expressed no regret, and didn't ask the jury to spare his life.
That's crazy.
He said, quote, "My job here is simple." He was reading from a pre-written statement.
Right.
"My job here is simple. I don't have to prove anything to you. That's purely the state's burden. All I have to do is be here and behave. It's up to you to decide life or death based on the information provided to you throughout this trial. I have no regrets in my life, and I am proud of every decision I've ever made. Nobody here knows what really happened that day. Everyone can speculate what ifs and maybes until they're blue in the face, which they'll never really know." The jury was shown pictures of the victims, and it took them only 2 hours to agree to recommend the death penalty. Asvanu then flipped off the victims' families.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope, there's video on the internet, which the judge said was unwise because she had yet to actually sentence him to death. It was just the jury's recommendation at that time. Now, this makes me feel all sorts of ways because on one hand, fry this motherfucker.
Right?
But on the other hand, I'm staunchly against the death penalty. I think we should be more evolved than that. There should be better ways to handle these situations than just, oh, you killed someone? Well, we're going to kill you back.
Well, personally, I feel that if you kill somebody in cold blood, you need to suffer and live a long, horrible life.
Remember that shit for the rest of your life. Yep.
And, I feel like you should go to prison and you should be tortured and you should, at that point, if you... And I don't care what anybody says about rehabilitation, but if you kill anybody that's... you come after mine, I'm going to make sure you suffer. I don't want you to just die because that's the easy way out.
Right.
We just hit a new record, by the way.
Oh, we did.
We have 8 people watching right now.
Oh, right.
I don't think we've ever had that many people watching at one point. So
awesome. Well, hey, there you go. Turns out Saturday nights are better for people than Monday morning. Monday morning was way too early, guys.
So it's been going back and forth between 6 and 8. So there's a few people popping in and out. But...
Cool. Well, if you want to weigh in on any of these stories, 224-40-SARAH, 224-407-2724. The next story.
Is it a little happier?
I told you it started low and now we're going to climb up, right?
Okay.
A Wisconsin school district has agreed to pay $800,000 to settle a lawsuit filed by a transgender student who said he was forbidden from using boys' bathrooms at his high school and felt degraded by administrators. The Kenosha Unified School District School Board Settlement Agreement prevented the case from being sent to the Supreme Court.
Cool.
Maybe.
Good. Maybe. As long as it keeps going in that direction.
Court documents show that 18-year-old Ashton Whitaker began to openly identify as male and as a freshman in high school, and said that he's graduated now. So this was from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That he started identifying, and that administrators denied him access to boys' restrooms. And quote, If I were to use the gender-neutral restrooms, I would also stand out from everyone else with a big label on me that said transgender. End quote. Administrators also used the wrong pronouns after being asked not to. Ashton was suffering from anxiety, depression, migraines, and other health problems related to dehydration because he was purposely drinking less water to avoid having to use the restroom so often.
Poor kid.
Right? Listen, you send your kids to a school and you expect that the adults running the damn thing
are going to have their best interest in mind
look
and
out
take
for
care
your
of them.
kid. Yeah. It would have infuriated me as a parent.
Yeah.
I would have been down there every damn day.
Is there more?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
An injunction was granted, so that was the... an injunction was granted by a federal district court allowing him to use the boys' bathroom during his senior year. The district appealed that decision, but the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the injunction. During that case, the district lawyers argued that, quote, a student cannot unilaterally declare their gender, then demand that they be treated like all others in that sex classification, end quote.
Wow.
Then the district filed a petition to appeal that ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court, but the school board voted 5-2 to pay a $100,000 settlement instead. The board's attorneys said that part of the decision was to avoid the high cost of continued litigation. Now, eventually, the Supreme Court is going to have to weigh in on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But given the current political demographic, I guess, of the Supreme Court, I don't know that now is the perfect time for that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we want the Supreme Court to weigh in, but we want them to weigh in on our, in our favor.
Is that Jamie? Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Jamie.
Is it Jamie?
I don't know.
It's
I can't see the thing.
It's not spelled like a regular Jamie.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
one of your
Jamie.
friends?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, hi, Jamie, but I hope I'm saying your name right. Could be Jaime. It could be Jamie.
That's
all
all
right.
right.
I don't know.
Around here, we don't say any of the names,
Listen,
right?
it's Saturday night and I'm feeling a little crazy.
So go ahead. What did you have?
Well, okay, so he was fighting this through school, and now the first thing you read talked about a settlement. Is that what it was?
Right.
And is this he's going for after he's already graduated?
Right.
So I just want to say on that, hey, Davina. Hi, welcome. In the middle of a squirrel.
Come on.
I'm very proud of him for still fighting this.
Right.
Because for a lot of trans people, you think, okay, I'm done with high school. I'm just going to move on.
Right.
This is too triggering. But
now
to
you're
go
doing it for
back,
any of the
he's
other
like
kids.
paving the way
Yeah.
for the kids that come behind him, even though I'm sure it's emotionally been difficult for
Right.
him to go through all of that.
Sure.
Like to relive it. So
Well, remember the Gavin Grimm case,
Right.
Right. Same idea.
yeah, I just these kids that are doing this now
Mm-hmm.
for the kids that are going to come behind them,
Yes.
even though they've already graduated and left school.
Yep.
I'm just it's really an amazing thing to watch those things happen, because I know that the emotional part of that it's got to be a lot to deal with. Stop throwing your pen on the floor.
It wasn't. It was the cap.
Oh, then why did you even bother?
All right.
Go on.
We're going to take a break.
Oh, okay.
And when we come back,
We're coming back too?
we're going to come back.
All right.
James Dobson calls for a day of fasting and prayer.
Oh, God.
As if that's ever done anybody any good. Oh, it's not plugged in. No wonder. I was like, I can hear the music. Why can't I hear it? Because we're trying to take calls today, and it's failing. All right, let's try that again. When we come back, James Dobson calls for a day of fasting and prayers, if that's done anyone any fucking good. And Paula White calls for a day of giving her your hard-earned money. We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to Sarah Talk.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I was embarrassed and a little scared.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
I thought it would just make things worse.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
It ended up taking a huge weight off my shoulders.
I feel a lot better.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked my aunt.
I asked my dad.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my mom.
I asked the Trevor Project.
Now, I feel like I can get through this.
I know that I am brave.
You can do this.
You can do this.
Ask for help.
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 Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7. Ask for help.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
it could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Are you ready for your first card?
Often not.
As I look at the set I placed down for you, I see an interesting things rising. Some of it has to deal with love and money and changes, and hopefully they're going to be for the better. Now your first card represents your situation. Maybe some problems you've been having, maybe a little bit about yourself. Your first card is sorrow. This card is letting us know that there is some type of disruption in your life. Not that it's a big deal, but this card is giving off a strange vibe of anxiety. Actually, this card is warm in my hand. Oh, now caller, if you listen here, I'm seeing in the cards. Oh, yes, the 45 of mangoes. The 45 of mangoes card says you're going to go onto Patreon and subscribe because there is nothing better than giving when receiving. What will you ask me? Find out now and I see for you. Call me now for a free tarot reading.
Want to join the conversation or tell Sarah she's wrong? Email producer@SarahTalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. Now, more Sarah Talk. Okay, now I'm ready. Sorry.
Beck is drinking your Puerto Rican rum from the bottle, Ross.
It's good.
Jesus.
Actually, just kidding. It's still sealed.
Either.
I haven't opened it yet. You can. There's your line right there. It's not half empty, you dork. It's just a bad camera angle.
Now he's going to be like, you emptied it and put water in it.
Water in. No, you can. If you still lived here, you could come over and look and inspect the seal.
Womp womp.
Oh well.
Okay, let's get into some spiritual ridiculousness.
Oh yay, that's always fun.
James Dobson, who you may remember from his popular Focus on the Family program, joined Intercessors for America for their organizational monthly prayer conference call. Now, this clip is like really shitty quality because it's a conference call.
Yeah.
So you can hear him talking on his crappy phone, but also you can hear other people like shuffling and sniffing in the background. Like that. I tried to
all of a sudden had this really big ball of mucus in the
nasty.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop.
Can't help myself.
Look, I know our show is disgusting, but that's not what I meant.
I joined more than 25 ministers who were invited to the White House for a gathering with President Trump. And all of us serve on an advisory committee to address the spiritual needs of the chief executive. We met with Mr. Trump on that occasion in the Oval Office. He was sitting at his desk, and we were surrounding him. We were gathered around. We talked to him for about 30 minutes, and then we laid hands on him and all prayed for him.
When has that ever done any good? When has that ever been useful? And why would you touch that guy?
I'd be afraid my hands would turn orange.
Like the Cheeto stuff that comes off when you eat Cheetos
when
and your
you
fingers
eat Cheetos,
turn.
your fingers turn orange. I'd be afraid to touch them.
I don't know what others were thinking about that day, but I can tell you what was going through my mind. That I felt sorry for this man.
Yeah, okay. Look, he's gotten himself into this mess.
He dug his hole, and now he needs to just lay down and let.
You know what? He feels.
Let the
I feel
dogs-
sorry for America.
Right?
I know he's a tough executive who doesn't seem particularly vulnerable, but I thought in those moments about the burden that ride heavily on his shoulders.
I think the burden on the shoulders of the first black president was probably pretty heavy too.
Right? Especially, I mean, the only burden that's on his shoulders is the burden that he's creating.
You're right.
Like,
Right.
seriously.
Right. The damage
Because
control he has to do.
Before he
when
went
says
into
a thing.
office, there wasn't really a lot of drama. The North Korea was just kind of over in North Korea. And now there's like fake missile things happening and freaking out the people in Hawaii. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
There was a fake missile alert that went out in Hawaii yesterday.
Oh my god.
And it turned out to be a hoax, but like people were getting this alert on their phone
Shit.
that there was some kind of but like that kind of stuff wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
Not only is he the leader of the free world, of course, but so many people obviously hate him. You're aware of that. You read the papers at all. You know that he has many, many opponents. He faces the combined opposition from the mainstream media, from members of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, not all of them, but many of them, the entertainment industry, the other special interest groups who seem determined to bring him down.
So there you go, right? We're ticking all the boxes. Mainstream media is bad. The Hollywood elite is bad. There's the people in Congress are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's out to get him.
I know Mr. Trump makes mistakes and brings some of this opposition on himself, but I think this country will be in serious trouble if they're successful in impeaching this man, and that's why I'm calling for a nationwide movement to pray for him.
Okay.
it's not gonna help.
Stop.
Not gonna help.
No. So you're going to pray for this guy so he doesn't get impeached? What?
And why would you do that? I would pray that he was. If I was gonna pray,
He's
for
taking care of them, see.
Yeah, well,
he's
of course
letting
he
the
is.
religious right run
Sure,
rampant right
of
now.
course.
You know.
It's just I don't know.
Religious liberty has been turned into religious privilege more than ever before.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
And he's their guy. They're all in.
So it's just so asinine. I don't.
I'm calling for a day of fasting and prayer. I hope that Christian people from coast to coast will join in that time. The date is your choosing. So we do need to be praying for our president.
So it's not even like all at once, right? It's whenever you pick the day, right?
Right.
Okay. So, because I thought like if a lot of people are praying for the same thing all at the same time, that God might hear it better. Like, it wasn't that a thing. Like,
no.
Does he count? Do you think God's got a clicker in heaven just counting tick, 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 how many times a person fasts and prays?
Somebody's just prayed for this specific thing to happen 37,000 times. Maybe I'll do that now.
It's like the Facebook thing that was like, oh, little Timmy's going to die now because he
Right,
didn't get
right.
999 likes and
Like,
shares.
I just feel like they need to read their own book, first of all, because they obviously don't know what it says. And secondly, no, it's not how it works.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, this was so then there, again, later in the conversation, he said this.
The Lord played a role in the election of Donald Trump. What his purposes were and what his intent was, we can only guess. I believe he was raised up for such a time as this, and it seemed evident to us on election night that the Lord gave us victory. So, Lord, if that's true, then we ask you to protect our president.
So, in classic form, when you get what you want, God heard your prayers. If you didn't, then it was,
Can I just say, if this guy is right, and that if Donald Trump is actually in the Oval Office because the Lord put him there, that just gives me one more reason to say, fuck you, God.
Yes.
Just saying.
Anything that could hurt him. We also remember what was at stake in that election, and it's still at stake today.
So what was the election for then, if it's still at stake?
Dependent on it was the makeup of the Supreme Court, the United States, the sanctity of marriage, the preservation of religious liberty.
Sanctity of marriage. See? Hear that? They want to go and undo the Obergefell decision. They want to get it back to one man and one woman like it should be, like it cited in the Bible. Yeah, one man and one woman who had kids, and then they would have had to have fucked their kids to populate the earth, if that's your belief. So,
The sanctity of human life and so many other pro-life, pro-family, and pro-moral issues that we have prayed for generations.
all right.
I can't.
That's
with that
James
guy.
Dobson.
Yeah, he needs to go somewhere.
I feel like we used to air the Focus on the Family program when I worked in radio.
You probably
It sounds
did.
familiar. I mean, obviously it's familiar. I've seen it. I've heard it.
Right.
But,
No, I
but I'm
mean,
pretty sure we aired it when I worked in radio.
from the things I've heard about what you did when you worked in radio, it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
Um,
So Dr. Dobson said he was on the president's Evangelical Advisory Committee, right? Let's talk about Paula White, who heads up that advisory committee, and Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. She's well known around Florida as a religious charlatan. She's based out of Tampa, right? Originally?
I
think it was
so.
Tampa. And I wanted to let you hear her spin her web herself. It takes 6 minutes for her to cram in so much garbage, barely taking a breath, before asking for your money.
We're doing something wrong. It's that we're not doing enough of what is right. God says in his word that my people, good people, perish because of lack of knowledge. You're entering into a new year, a new beginning. And God has great things for you in 2018. In fact, the number 18 means to be alive. It means life. And so I believe...
What? Now we're into like biblical numerology. This woman's nuts.
This is the same one with the pen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That God has life for you, like the woman who was bowed over for 18 years, but that year, at 18, she was loose from that spirit of infirmity.
You can pick a number, pick any number, and find stuff that will corroborate your opinion on that number. Pick a number.
I believe this is going to be a supernatural year for you. A year of seeing God's goodness and God's greatness, but God has a way of doing things. You see, God himself, all throughout his word, said, hey, all first belong to me.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. Right, that goes back to that, I put God before my marriage. Put God before my children. Fuck that.
No way, Jose. Jesus.
He lays claim to it. He says that first are holy. It's the irrevocable giving over to God, things that belong to him that he lays claim to. It's what we call the principle of first fruits. You see, there's a first fruit season, there's a first fruit offering, There's a first fruit feast. Jesus is the first fruit of many brethren. First fruit literally means chief. It means essential, fundamental. It is the first, the choice part of the crop or the harvest. It also comes from a root word of bekor, which means birthright. So all firstborn belong to God.
You see how she doesn't take a breath? Like, she doesn't stop.
Yeah,
It's just word vomit.
All first of harvest belong to God. All first of new beginnings belong to God. Everything that is a first belongs to God. Think about this in Joshua chapter 7. The children of Israel have just entered in and they've conquered. They've gone across the Jordan. They've conquered and now they're getting to their first city. It's called Ai. And suddenly, where they were having victory after victory, they get defeated. Why do they get defeated? The Bible says that Joshua falls down and he begins to cry out and he's praying. And God says, Joshua, stop praying. Stop crying. He said, listen, the problem is with Achan. He's touched the accursed thing.
Okay, hold on. God told somebody to stop praying? I thought you were supposed to always, like, pray.
Apparently.
And then now, no. Somebody touched a cursed thing.
What? Okay.
Well, what's accursed mean? It means devoted things. And devoted is the same word as a first fruit. So anytime you touch something that is first,
The
something
linguistic
that belongs
gymnastics.
to God, it brings
Makes
some
my head
kind
hurt.
of destruction, disorder into our life. As we enter into January, we recognize that there are two calendars in the earth. But January is the first, the beginning of a new year for us in the Western world.
What's the other calendar?
Sorry.
Yeah, stop banging your microphone around. Two calendars.
The Gregorian calendar, Chinese calendar,
Chinese calendar,
the Mayan
maybe.
calendar. There's a lot of other calendars than just
Yeah.
two calendars. So I don't know what she's talking about.
Let us give to God what belongs to him. The first hours of our day, the first month of the year, the first of our increase, the first in every area of our life. It's devoted. When you devote something to God, then whatever devoted, here's the principle. The principle of first fruits is that when you give God the first, he governs the rest and redeems it. There is a curse on all of mankind. We know that Jesus, which is why he became the first fruit of many brethren. We understand that. The principle of first is so important.
Stick with
that
it.
whatever you give God first, because it already belongs to him.
No, stop. It already belonged to him. Why did I have to give it to him?
What she's doing here is basic mind control, brainwashing, like for dummies. She just keeps repeating that word first. She's keep drilling that into their heads so that when at the end she turns around and says, give you first. Now, okay, what better way to...
Yeah. Oh, it's coming.
I know
it's coming.
I'm waiting for it. I know it's coming, but
Right.
But that's what that is. She just keeps repeating that word, and if you listen to it, you notice it. But that's like basic indoctrination.
Russell says you belong to God, Becca.
I see that,
according
Russell,
to-
and you can kiss my ass.
Aaron says my favorite calendar is the old school Far Side ones. Yeah. Hey, I've got a daily calendar on my desk at work now that my boss gave me. That's Trumpisms.
Oh,
And every
Jesus
day
Christ!
It's a different quote from Trump.
You need to. Does
And
it peel off?
Yeah.
You need to bring them home so I can.
I got them hanging on my.
Oh, jeez.
On the wall around my desk.
Oh my gosh!
But every time I flip the
Send me
page,
pictures.
I flip the page and then I read it in the Trump voice.
Oh my god! See, you need to bring home the good ones.
Diet Coke doesn't work. You never see a thin person drinking a Diet Coke.
Dumbass. Such a dumbass.
Redeems the rest. So in the beginning, it's very important. Deuteronomy 16:16, God says, do not stand before me empty-handed. Leviticus chapter 3, God says, all first belong to him. All the way through the New Testament, there was a practice of first fruits. Anytime there was a first of something, it belonged to God. In fact, when you get into the book of Acts and you start to really study Ananias and Sapphira, you understand that had to do with the first fruits. That's why all of it was given to the Lord. So at the beginning of this year, I want you to make a commitment. The first hours of your day, give to God. I want you to spend time in prayer. I want you to spend time in His Word. But it's crucial because He says, do not come before me empty-handed. You see, what you do in January, no matter what happens in July or August or September, you literally are sending a signal for the promise which is to come. So it doesn't mean you can dictate or manipulate what's going to happen in July or August, but it means this, that you have put God first in every aspect of this year. So by doing that and by bringing Him an offering, a first fruits offering, and presenting to Him in obedience to the Word, you are redeeming the rest.
So, no, like, you're trying to say I can change the future. If I don't give God, we don't talk about, you're right. It's very positive.
Yeah.
It's a skilled, honed craft to spin this web. But she doesn't talk, like, what happens if I don't give God my first whatever? And then, so in June, July, and August, is life going to suck?
It sounds very much like that once saved, always saved argument. Because of the way she said, give Him your first at the beginning in January, and then you've redeemed the rest.
Right.
So you don't have to give anything the rest of the year. Can she, like, renegotiate our mortgage terms?
So I hope there's so much I want to get to you. There's just so much to study. And you go, well, how do I do it? Well, for your first fruits offering, because I don't even want to say gift because this is so holy. It belongs to the Lord. For your first fruits offering, and first fruits is the full of. It's not the tithe. Tithe is 1/10 of your gross income. It's the first tenth, not just any tenth. That's why it redeems the curse. But the first fruit is the whole of. Many of us bring...
So she's about to say, your first paycheck, send it all to me.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I just lost the track of where we were.
Honey.
All right, hang on.
You see, what you do in January...
Yeah, no, that's not it.
In July or August, but it means...
All right, here.
Your first fruits offering, because I don't even want to say gift because this is so holy. It belongs to the Lord. For your first fruits offering, and first fruits is the full of. It's not the tithe. Tithe is 1/10 of your gross income. It's the first tenth, not just any tenth. That's why it redeems the curse. But the first fruit is the whole of.
Is there a difference between the first tenth and the last tenth? Or the middle tenth?
I wouldn't think so.
Middle tenth? The second tenth? Make a difference?
Like
Why has it got to be the first tenth?
The only tenth that would make the difference would be the last one.
Because I might
if
spend it on booze before I give it to him.
You fucking shut up and let me finish my sentence. It's because if it's not an even number that can be divided evenly into tenths, the last one would be less than all the others.
I see.
So you give the first.
Okay.
Because that's your God first.
Okay, but hold on. No. Hang on. No, because she's wrong. See, what you should do is give $18.18 because 18 is such an important fucking number, you see. That's how much you should give.
No, you should give him your first 18 checks of the year.
Oh, no.
Some of us bring 1 day. Some of us bring 1 week. Some of us bring an entire month's salary because we understand the principle of all first belong to God.
Who can afford to give their whole first month's salary?
She can because she's on... She said some of us. She's obviously talking about the people who can afford it.
Right, her wealthy benefactors.
Not the, little old people that
who
are
she's taking
watching,
advantage of. Right?
Yeah.
When you present your first fruits offering of any size, I want to get to you my book. And that book is The Principle of First Fruits, that first things first. All first belong to God. I lay this out in extreme detail. Then for your first fruits offering, and you can't really say, well, this amount, but it just cost us a certain amount of money to get things to you, to air, to get the gospel out, etc. So for your first fruits
Wait, it cost us a certain amount of money to get the gospel out? Did she just say that?
Yeah.
No, honey.
No, they've got a network to run and,
no.
people to pay to run their cameras and publishers to pay to sell their books. It's almost done. Let's finish.
Oh, my God.
Of $50 or more, I will give you the book as well as a devotional. But then for your first fruits offering of $75 or more, you're going to get the book, the devotional, and a very special calendar with reminders of God's promises all through this year, that God has life for you. God has life for your relationships, for your finances, for your ministry, for your dream, for every area of your life.
But only if you give him money.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I want you to click on that button, and I want you to
Button.
honor God with his first fruits offering by putting God first this year. Say, God, I honor you. Remember that where your treasure is, there your heart is also. So give to God what already belongs to him and honor him with a first fruit. And you watch if you're June, you're July, you're September. If God doesn't divinely step in and intervene, I don't know what you're going to face.
Holy shit.
Wait, what? So, but you told me I wasn't like choosing my own adventure here by choosing to first fruit you.
No, I think that was a threat.
Well, yeah.
That was, I don't know what he's going to throw your
Right,
way,
well,
so you better
you gotta
send
pop
your
that at the
first
end.
right in here. Yeah.
He does. But I know by putting him first, you're putting God in your situation. You're putting God in your circumstance because his word cannot lie.
Are you looking up at the ceiling to try to see God?
No, actually, I'm really bored with her,
what are you
so I'm
doing?
counting all the
Oh, Jesus.
penises in the stucco on the ceiling.
There's one.
I just like looked up and I saw like this phallic looking shape in the stucco, and I thought, well, this is a great way to distract myself from
Oh my God.
this
Okay.
stupid idiot. Okay,
Well,
go on.
well, I think it's now the perfect time to mention. Unfortunately, we don't have any books or calendars, but if you'd like to send us your first fruits at SarahTalk.com, click on the donate link. We'll say your name on the show.
Oh
I can do that
God.
for you. I can say your name.
Wow. We can say it first, too.
I'll say it 18 times.
Oh, my gosh. It's
okay.
the Sarah Talk TBN simulcast.
Okay, finally, there's this story out from the UK, which I think highlights what religion and God should really be concerned about. A homeless man sleeping in a trash bin in Kent was rushed to the hospital after being accidentally tipped into the back of a garbage truck.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. A spokesperson for the Southeast Ambulance Service said that he had suffered potential leg and pelvis injuries. So I guess basically the drivers noticed right away, stopped their operation,
Oh, my God.
called the emergency number. Okay. So here's the thing. If God were real, I think he'd rather you send your first fruits to programs that support the homeless.
Right?
I think he'd rather you have a day of prayer and fasting for the homeless, or not for the personal benefit, not to protect the president from impeachment.
Right?
And let's talk about these existing programs, right? So there are shelters out there. But, so unfortunately, I operate a public facility. And I find vagrants from time to time crashing on my property.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate having to
kick them out,
having to do that.
Yeah.
I hate it because I know that their whole weeks, months, however long they've been doing this, that's your life, getting chased from one place to another, getting chased off of one property and then chased off of the next property.
Right.
And so then you say, well, why don't you go to a shelter? There's shelters that you can go to. Yeah, there are. And to some credit, they're often ran by religious groups. But they're also plagued with bed bugs in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are night-only programs. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock rolls around, you got to get out. Trans women aren't accepted to women-only shelters. And a lot of these places are what I call pray to play. You have to, give Jesus a hand job before they'll let you stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just us. It's not just the UK.
Right.
Humanity
Yeah.
has a problem. We have to do more. We have to do better. Call me a socialist. I'm a socialist. But I think it's worth it to give some of what I do have to help someone who has none.
Right. Well, especially when you have people that are like, especially right now, this time of year, it gets cold out, and you got people that are living out on the streets.
Yeah.
And you've got empty, abandoned buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And if they try to go into those buildings, they're going to get taken in jail for what's it called? Squatting.
Yep.
I mean,
another empty building during the night, churches.
Yeah.
Let them sleep on the pews.
Right.
And when you suggest that, people will say things like, oh, well, they don't want it to become like habitual. Well, then what is your mission?
Right.
As a church?
Sure.
If not to help the people who need you.
Right. Because, I mean, I just don't understand when I think about religion and what they preach and how they don't practice what they preach. It's just really annoying because, you sit there and you say, oh, yeah, come to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about the book and what the book says. And, but you have to give your tithe. And, well, homeless people don't have jobs or money and they can't do that. But you know what? There's other ways to show gratitude. And I'm sure that if there was a church out there that could say, okay, you know what? You don't have money. What can you do? And maybe this is because part of...
Do you have a skill?
Like...
and if it's not help not to interrupt, sorry to derail your train, but what I immediately heard was can you fix things?
Right.
Let's paint the church. Let's fix the roof. Let's
the
whatever.
Lawn, take care of the ground.
But even beyond that, do you have a skill? Let us help you find a job.
Right.
Let us help you get back on your feet.
Right.
Now, the church is failing at that, but so are the rest of us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, if God were real, he could swoop in and save the homeless. He could.
Mm-hmm.
Many, many times in the Bible did God intervene to change the situation of people.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, because he isn't. So, I'll leave you with this thought today. We have to do better for these people. We have to take care of them. We have to be generous, because nobody else is. Now, get out there and do something good. We want to thank our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/SarahTalk. They are part-time patron Russell, The Wayward Willis Podcast, Josie, Heather, Harry, Jeremy, Stacy, Megan, Morgan, and AJ. I love having a big list like that. It's great. Go to SarahTalk.com for everything related to the show. That's where you'll find our Patreon and PayPal links. Print out a Flat Jesus and play along with our Flat Jesus game. Get access to our Facebook discussion group, and you should do that because Facebook is changing the way that it's doing its pages. You'll never see us again. We love you. We'll see you next week. This is Sarah Talk.
Sarah Talk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@sarahtalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. Sarah Talk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.